So it's 4 in the morning. I just usually get up like this. I'm just having a little tea. Pardon my infraction of drinking tea. I've been having a discussion with my daughter, who's has a lot of connections in the mindfulness world. She's pretty plugged in, and she always comes in very strongly with big boots on about how careful you have to be because there's a lot of people in the audience who have trauma. And when you start getting into relaxation, I guess we're talking about here, or this kind of work, the kind of work I'm proposing, that a lot of people are going to freak out and have a very hard time, and it probably need to go very slow, need to back out of the practice and come back and go slow, because and I've been contemplating about this, and I've experienced some of this, I've been at, big Dharma centers, big programs, and we've introduced some things, and I've had people like really, say this is like the work of the devil or something, really have a strong reaction. But I don't care. You try to do keen heen in one of those big programs, and the whole place erupts, And this whole thing we got with the sakyong is very similar, honestly. The whole place is erupted, It's about people's trauma, right? It's about some people have trauma and are very upset by things, and I'm just gonna say, if you're living in the West, you got trauma. And that's the reason you can't do some of this stuff, in a way. And that's a big reason to be resistant, And that's the reason you gotta, persevere. And I'm not saying my daughter's not right, Some people may have to leave the room, Some people may have to take a break. Some people have to just come back. You just come back to shamatha. You stop doing, I don't know. I mean, this is somewhat a shamatha, but it's not the kind of shamatha that's, we always have to come back and then try and then come back and then try. So the people who are advocating for trauma victims are perfectly right, But on the other hand, everybody has got trauma, The reason it's taken me 50 years to make any progress at all is because I'm traumatized. So we're all traumatized. That's the reason we're not moving along faster as Buddhas, but we need this attitude of a warrior, this daring attitude, I've been reading a little bit of this Carl Fried Durkheim. So, he always had powerful experiences, when he was very young, but then he goes off to war at 18, World War I, and he just faces some stuff that nobody should have to face. There was a whole generation there. Not just that generation, but another generation, World War II, another generation, Vietnam, generation right now, all these traumatized people from wars, But a lot of Durkheim's work was with those people who had a spiritual type experience. They had like a hard lesson in death, death, but impermanence, emptiness. They got nailed, and a lot of them just couldn't keep going forward and got really stuck. But his work was with a lot of those people and taking them forward because it was a gift. The experience was also a gift. They experienced some spiritual realization in the middle of that was quite profound and couldn't be tossed off either. I don't know, but he's saying usually we want to run, hide in our cocoon. That's what we want to do. That's all we want to do. We peek out a little bit, get a little glimpse, and then we look for our cocoon and we go. That's fine, that's the way it works in a way, but you got to keep coming out of that cocoon, and he says, you got to go toward that stuff, and that's what third stage of gazing, that's what vipayssana, you just keep going toward it little by little, just little baby steps, but you just orientate yourself to go toward that, annihilation, or what might be scary, or the source of trauma, or you don't, that's fine if you don't, but that's where I like that saying from this movie, The Iron Cross. This guy wanted an iron cross. He wanted to have a big medal saying he was brave, but he was a coward, But he was serving with the brave guys, and they knew he was a coward, but they kept, he was there, they had to work with him, and they were the last big thing. The Russians are about to annihilate them all, and he says, the iron crosses are out there. You've always wanted an iron cross. That's where they are, out there. The iron crosses are out there, Or another way of saying it is the way Mark Rylander says it. I love that story he tells of the story of St. George. There's a certain way it's been told all these years. And then there's an older way of telling it, the way he tells it. I think most people know, how you'd handle a dragon. You go out and kill the dragon, and then you win the maiden. And the dragon kind of representing, I don't know what he's representing in that case. I don't know. Greed in the world. Oppression, the fact that we're all oppressed by forces out there in the world, greedy forces out there in the world. Could be so, maybe so. But anyway, here's the way Mark Rylance tells the story of St. George and the dragon. The main point of the story is you have to leave the town where you're comfortable. You're comfortable in this town. That's your comfort zone. And out there in the forest is scary stuff. All kinds of stuff are out there, goblins, wolves, you name it. It's spooky out there. You're out of your comfort zone. So that's the number one thing. The only time anything's going to happen is when you leave your comfort zone, when you take a journey and leave your cocoon and go out into tricky territory, tricky territory. So then he encounters the dragon, and in this way of telling the story, what he does is he begins to sing. Begins to sing a song. He has to get the dragon's attention. And essentially he has to attune himself, He needs to get he and the dragon on the same wavelength where they're working together, I this stuff. I don't have any idea, but the image that they use is of Shakespeare. Shakespeare represents Athena, the god of kind of warlike wisdom, of this kind of courage. She's a goddess of this kind of courage we're talking about. Has a martial spirit to it, of being a warrior. So we gotta come out as a warrior. We gotta call upon Athena, and we have this spear, and we shake the spear, but really, it's an attunement. We're singing this song, and to me, what they're talking about is resilience. I guess I'm about to give a talk on resilience. That's what I'm studying these days. I'm studying this book by Will Johnson, Alignment-relaxation-resilience. He describes meditation in this way, mindfulness in this way. That the goal of Buddhist meditation is not to become a piece of wood, as Tilopa exhorts us. Do not become a piece of wood. We have a tendency just to freeze all the time and become frozen, and this somehow works for us in meditation, but when we approach meditation this way, it turns out just to be an endless round of trying to deal with our body being over here and our thoughts being over here and in our head, let's say. But that's the whole point. That's the reason we freeze, is so we can be in our head. If we're not frozen, we can't be in our head. If we have resilience, we cannot wander off. It's impossible. So meditation is really about resilience. It's about alignment. So all these videos I've been talking about alignment. How to get aligned. And anybody who does a lot of meditations will not deny that alignment's involved. It takes them a long time to get there, but they will say, when I get in meditation, somehow I get aligned in a way that I'm usually not aligned. Relaxation. Once you kind of begin to get aligned, it's the only way to get further aligned is to relax more, but the whole point of this thing is to get very relaxed and aligned. Very relaxed, very aligned. Alignment really comes first. It's like shamatha in a way. Relaxation is 100% vipassana. Vipassana is relaxation. Relaxation is vipassana. I'll tell a story. Imagine a little bunny rabbit in the middle of a field, and then there's trees all around this field, and he's sitting in the middle of this field. And you could say that this little bunny rabbit is completely defenseless. But it turns out he does have a defense.